We are in a crisis. The President of the United States is betraying our country on a daily basis. And if the American people don't understand that he is whittling away at our institutions, our rule of law, he is sowing mistrust among the American people toward one another, he is violating every norm of our values and our common humanity. He is making us a laughingstock and endangering our security around the world. If people don't understand that, then we are in for a very, very rocky ride as a country.
Hillary Clinton knows better than anyone being a woman in power takes strength, tenacity, and most importantly, guts.
A gutsy woman is a woman who is determined to fulfill her destiny, but also has a sense of mission, that what she's doing is going to be knocking down barriers and helping others.
Those qualities are front and center in the Book of Gutsy Women, in which Hillary and her daughter Chelsea spotlight 100 different examples of courageous trailblazers. From abolitionist Harriet Tubman to 16-year-old environmental activist Greta Thunberg.
So the gutsy women that we profile in our book are women who came to their destiny from many different directions, from the arts, from athletics, from activism. But the reason we say they're gutsy is because they were not only personally courageous, they had a social mission or conviction that they were also acting on.
The project was also a chance for the mother-daughter duo to reflect on the gutsiness they admire in each other.
Oh gosh, it's such an overwhelming question to think about kind of moments of gutsiness with my mom, because I feel like she's been gutsy throughout my whole life, and that's been so core to who she is and the role model that she is for me. And I certainly think from the day after the election in 2016 and kind of every day since, it has been a gutsy journey for my mom to continue to kind of fight for what she believes is right and to call out what she believes is so deeply immoral and kind of stand for what she believes is so kind of vital for our country today and for the world I know she wants her grandchildren to grow up in.
She has a big presence on social media, particularly on Twitter, and she's unfailingly polite in the face of intense vitriol. Now, I just think it takes guts to put yourself out knowing that in addition to all of the accolades and approval that you're going to get from people who agree with you or admire you, you're going to get this onslaught of nastiness from all the usual suspects. So I think, you know, that's gutsy, and I admire her for standing up for what she believes in a very difficult environment.
Another thing keeping Chelsea very busy these days is motherhood.
Oh, I love being a mom of three, and I'm so grateful that my mom's their grandmother. I'm so proud of my daughter already being precocious and curious and asking lots of questions and teaching her younger brothers, although I don't know how much 2-month-old Jasper really understands about kind of Wonder Woman, who she thinks is, hopefully next to me, the most important woman, maybe tied with Grandma.
It's funny watching little girls today because, you know, one of the things that Chelsea and I did in this book was to talk about the differences in our upbringing, how I didn't know any women who, you know, worked outside the home except my teachers and the public librarians that we had in our town, and Chelsea had a very different experience. And it's fascinating to watch Charlotte and her little friends, who are all her age, just sort of take for granted, you know, some of the things that we had to work for and we had to keep working for because they were never actually secure. She has a sense of possibility that I am thrilled to see, along with all these other kids that are around her age. So it's interesting for me to reflect back and then try to think forward about how it's all going to add up. People say both to me, and then I read people saying these things out there in the so-called real world, like, oh my gosh, why doesn't she just stop talking about politics? Why doesn't she stop talking about Trump? I could no more do that than, jump off this building. And I am just astonished that we are at this point in American history.
I'm announcing the House of Representatives moving forward with an official impeachment inquiry. The president must be held accountable. No one is above the law.
I am in favor of moving toward impeachment. I did not come to that position easily or quickly, but this is an emergency, as I see it, because he is undermining the more perfect union that is the goal of our collective efforts.
President Trump personally ordered the suspension of hundreds of millions of dollars in military aid to Ukraine just days before he encouraged their president to investigate his political rival, Joe Biden.
This latest behavior around Ukraine, trying to enlist the president of Ukraine in a plot to undermine former Vice President Biden, or else lose the military aid the man needs to defend himself against Trump's friend Putin and further Russian aggression. If that's not an impeachable offense, I don't know what is. And I actually know a lot about it because I was one of the people who wrote the original memo back in 1974 about what was an impeachable offense.
As impeachment proceedings unfold, Democrats are also in the midst of selecting their presidential nominee.
I'm staying out of it. I'm just going to support whoever the nominee is to try to do everything I can to help that person win.
But she did defend Democratic frontrunner Joe Biden on one particular issue.
For years, people have noticed the somewhat strange and often, let's say, overly familiar physicality of one Joe Biden, specifically with women.
I've heard a little bit about that. I mean, I don't think that the Twitterverse is the American electorate, but there are lots of vocal voices that say all kinds of things. He is a thoroughly decent human being who has served our country honorably and well for decades. You could take any person who sticks their little head above the parapet and says, I'm going to run for president, and find something that a little, annoying habit or other kind of behavior that people are going to pick apart and disagree with. People who are putting themselves forward, which, believe me, is a really difficult process to undergo, should be judged on the totality of their lives and their service. And we can pick apart anybody. I mean, that's a great spectator sport. But this man who's there in the Oval Office right now poses a clear and present danger to the future of the United States. So get over it. Look at the candidates, look at what they've accomplished, look at what they've fought for, and vote for anybody to get rid of Donald Trump.
Despite their fury with the man in the Oval Office, the Clintons say their book of Gutsy Women was a valuable reminder to stay positive.
One of the things that my mom and I talked about a lot in writing this book was how we were consistently struck by the women's optimism. They wouldn't have worked so hard to achieve whatever they achieved, whether in athletics or the arts or politics, science, if they didn't believe that their energies and their efforts would matter, and if they didn't believe that they could wrench something out of the impossible into the possible. And so when I think about kind of in this moment where there is kind of so much to be horrified by, I think about these women whose lives were so profoundly optimistic, and just people who refuse to accept the evil of the moment and are fighting back every single day.
Amen to that. I'm absolutely in agreement. And also understand that whatever you're upset about, whether you're upset about climate change for very good reason, or the cost of your health care for very good reason, or the crazy gun violence that afflicts us on a daily basis, whatever you're upset about, there is something you can do about it.
We know that America is big-hearted, not small-minded. We want to lift people up, not tear each other down.
We've got to rekindle hope in the American enterprise. We've got to get back to basics where people feel that they can trust their government, that it's looking out for them, that it's taking care of them when they can't take care of themselves. And I think that that has to be a call for renewal of America. And I'm hoping that this election is the first act toward trying to, reinstill a sense of commitment and optimism about our country and hold people accountable for undermining it when they do.